Cincinnati, 16th in the nation, and a heavyweight battle in Conference USA. Louisville, great comeback at home to beat Indiana today, but in conference, the focus is Marquette and UC. They're both 6-1. It's a heated rivalry, and Jimmy Dykes, a couple of go-to guys we'll talk about. The nation is learning all about Dwayne Wade. As a senior now, it's Leonard Stokes for the Bearcats.
Well, Dwayne Wade's as good as anybody in the country, Bob. Both these young guys are outstanding when they have the ball in their hands, attacking the basket. They're not great perimeter shooters, but they are a handful in the other areas.
That's Jimmy Dykes, signed Bob Carpenter. Dwayne Wade brings his 23-point scoring average to town. #1 in Conference USA and #9 in the nation. And Marquette has to try to win a game in a building where year after year after year, the road to the conference title runs right through it. Look at that. 58 out of 61 all-time in this building in Conference USA play, a league that is now in its 8th year. Cincinnati, though, lacks the inside scoring they've had in recent years. That's why you see a guy like Kareem Johnson, a JUCO transfer, averaging 2 points a game and 4 rebounds down there. Everybody is double-teaming Jason Maxiell. Marquette much more balanced offensively than Cincinnati.
You've got great offense out of Marquette, Bob. They shoot 50% as a team from the field, but they're out against an outstanding defensive club, Cincinnati. Cincinnati, listen to this, they only turn it over 10 times a game. Best in the country.
That's a low number these days. Opening tap into the hands of the reliable point guard, Teron Barker, who has 91 assists and 24 turnovers this year.
Both point guards today have a 6-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio in conference games.
Cincinnati runs a lot of sets in the half court against the aggressive man-to-man of Marquette. Here's Stokes right through everybody. Got to finish that one. And the real key, say the UC coaches, are if we can hit some shots early. They got a high percentage one there for Bob Huggins that didn't go down. How about this guy? 11 straight NCAAs and 11 consecutive league titles in 2 different conferences.
Last year in the same matchup in the same building, Marquette got off to a horrible start because they settled for the jump shot. Tom Crean told his club today to shoot around. We will go inside early and often.
Yeah, last year they didn't have Robert Jackson. He was sitting out after 3 years at Mississippi State, and the big fellow scoring there.
You take a guy that only has 1 year left, you know he's pretty good.
And he's hungry.
He and Marvin Stone, both in this league, are terrific one-year players.
And they are both men. Unbelievable 35-point swing in that game by Louisville today. Here's Field Williams off for Maxiell. Merritt in front of him. Shot clock at 4. It's over the baseline. And a good defensive stand by Marquette so far. Tom Crean, 4th year, doing a great job with this program. He's getting the kind of players to Milwaukee they've never really had before. Really athletic, I mean, bouncy basketball players.
Yeah, he's getting guys that everyone in the Big Ten wants, and that's what you have to keep your program going at the level he's at right now.
With 2 on the shot clock and a ball that had no chance of going in, Field Williams just drew a foul. It'll be Dwayne Wade's first, and Tom Crean is very irritated at that call.
You see Field Williams buried deep in the corner, and that's a tough foul on Dwayne Wade, first of all. Field Williams, a guy that 82% of his makes in his career have been at that 3-point line. He seldom visits the free throw stripe because of it.
When he does, he's over 90%. He's now 13 of 13 in conference play from that stripe. Field Williams, a junior out of Waltrip High School in Houston. And our thoughts are with a lot of folks down in the state of Texas today on this day of tragedy in our country.
The Cincinnati club has won 13 ball games. They only allow 57 points a game. That's 6th in the country. They control the tempo on you. They don't turn it over. And when they have 40% shooting or better from the field, they're a handful.
Here's Jackson stepping outside. Great backdoor rebound by Todd Townsend. And because of Jackson, Scott, Merritt can step out away from the basket a bit. There's Diener. Great assist. It was goaltending, but the ball went in anyway. And Robert Jackson has 2 baskets.
Jackson is really a load. He can now finish with both hands on the interior. The best thing that happened to him was transferring to Marquette, and Tom Crean has put that discipline on him 24 hours a day and making the most of his final year.
Bob Huggins sits down Kareem Johnson in a hurry, brings in Derek Holman, a 6'8" junior who redshirted with a bad shoulder last year. He's a guy with some size down low who can run. Here's Stokes getting by Townsend, drawing the foul. Leonard Stokes, a couple of really nice penetrations so far.
The team's best at attacking the basket, and he gets the free throw strike 5 or 6 times a game because of it. If you turn Cincinnati into a jump shooting club, you've done your job defensively, but the guys in white understand, get the ball, drive it on you. That's when they're at their best.
Parker. A great reach in by Diener. Now he leads the 2-on-1. He'll leave it for Wade. He goes up, no ball. Townsend the trailer. And Bob Huggins, an angry Bob Huggins, wants a timeout.
Bob Huggins doesn't put up with lack of effort, and that's exactly what he saw in his transition defense that time. There was a miss, and there are more blue jerseys in the picture than white. Look at the strip right here. Diener does a great job of waiting for the defender to commit. Right when, boom, right when 2 steps towards him, then he drops it off, kind of catches Wade by surprise. But then there's 3 guys in the picture wearing a blue jersey, only 2 wearing a white, and that's what has Bob Huggins firing on all cylinders right now.
2 minutes, 4 seconds in. The coach is mad, and he'll get it done. How about a couple of ladies who can get it done tonight? Diana Taurasi leads number 2, UConn, against Elena Beard and number 1 Duke, Jimmy Dykes. Maybe the best game of the year coming up this evening at 7 Eastern over on the Deuce.
Yeah, and arguably the best 2 players in women's basketball right now. Elena Beard averaging 23 points, 7 boards. Diana Taurasi 17 and 7. Can flat out shoot it with distance. How about UConn? 19-0. They've won 58 in a row. The average margin of victory in those 58 games, over 30 points a ball game.
Wow. Point guard Chad Moore in there, a guy who will make some things happen. He's short on that shot, and there's foul number 2 on Dwayne Wade. Yikes. While some Cincinnati starters sit and watch. Dwayne Wade has 2 fouls, 2 minutes and 18 seconds into this game. Tony Bobbitt also checked in, a JUCO transfer for Cincinnati, as well as Eric Hicks. I mean, Bob Huggins basically clearing the bench here early. The fans here love Chad Moore, a freshman from Huntsville, Alabama, who's been a good exciter for this crowd. That's Joe Chapman, a freshman guard who's a good spot-up shooter for Marquette.
And now Marquette on the road, which is where they've lost their 3 ball games this year without their star. And that's a very important 2 fouls on Dwayne Wade. I mean, that guy, talk about him more as the game goes on. If I had to pick one player in college basketball to start a team, I would take Dwayne Wade.
He's averaging 31 minutes a game. Don't know if he'll get that today. There's Diener and Chad Moore, who's very quick, guarding him on the point. Look at Diener go one-on-one. He's stopped. Straight ahead. Bobbitt looking. And that ball is blocked by Townsend, who tumbled into our camera position, maybe hit the support, and then a Cincinnati foul. Why Bobbitt didn't go up and slam that thing, I don't know. The gentle lay-in was blocked.
What hustle by Townsend. You're going to see him come from way back in the pack, number 1 in blue. Watch how hard he runs. You talk about a guy intense. Look at the eyes, Bob, and just boom with effort. No surprising, he's the guy that's the first one in the gym every day and the last one to leave. Great effort by Townsend on that play.
Marquette 6'3", great entry. That was too easy. Robert Jackson, 3 field goals already. Nobody inside can stop him. And Derek Holman is back at the table for Bob Huggins, set to check in.
Marquette club on film. They can turn you over with the best of them on the offensive end and get easy looks on the inside because of it.
Kirkland with the... Ted Hillary pointing down the floor. Held ball will stay with Marquette.
Cincinnati's going to have a maximum effort game today to win this ball game, even with Wade on the bench.
Nearly 4 minutes in, big doings in the Big 12 today. Matt Weiner, it's all yours for now.
All right, Bob, we've had some great finishes around the country. We've got one going right now in Manhattan, Kansas.
Welcome back to the Shoemaker Center in Cincinnati, where we've had an official get injured. Looked like Ted Hillary got tripped up somewhere along the sideline and went down hard. Was it Ted, or did the player at the table get him? We've seen this happen on numerous occasions this year, where kids about to come into the game have their feet out on the floor, and that must be what happened. Watch Ted Hillary right side. There he goes.
I got the feet tangled up. There he kicks, gets him to drop.
You know, those sneakers weren't size 15 10 years ago like they are now. So we're 5.5 minutes into this game. Conference USA at the Shoemaker Center in Cincinnati. Jimmy Dykes alongside. I'm Bob Carpenter. Good start for Marquette, but Dwayne Wade is on the bench with 2 fouls, has been for the last 3 minutes. And Cincinnati is stepping up their defense.
They're doing it with a zone, something you don't see a lot out of Bob Huggins.
Max Seal had a touch. Right side field, Williams. Yes, and a foul. And Todd Townsend now has 2 fouls.
Bob, you can't allow Cincy to put a knot on your head on the offensive glass because they don't shoot well in their first shot. You can't give them second and third attempts. Field Williams right now primarily known as a three-point shooter, doing more damage in the inside the three-point line than outside the three-point line.
Field Williams has 9 points of Cincinnati's 10. And the Marquette lead has been shaved. Defense is intense now, 94 feet of it for the UC club.
Cincinnati will try to intimidate you and physically wear you down. They whipped Oregon with the style, not so much as how they played that day. It's just the style they threw on them, and Oregon still hasn't recovered from it.
Robert Jackson with a great rebound. Underneath. They go into Merritt. He was rejected. And a Cincinnati foul on Field Williams. That'll be his second. Some key perimeter guys with 2 fouls now in this game.
Marquette has the physical play and the size to match you for 40 minutes with that push and pull type game that Cincinnati wants to get you into.
Diener rolls in a 3. And he almost had some contact from Eric Hicks, who was right in his face. Travis Diener is shooting 40% beyond the arc in conference play.
He'll knock down 2 a game. When he gives the ball up in the offense, he becomes a 2 guard in the half-court set.
Stokes leaving it off for Teron Barker, Cincinnati's point guard. Here's their 2 guard, their 3-point shooter, Field Williams. Barker just doesn't shoot much out there. Here's Max Seal. That's a blocking foul. He was losing his balance, and Robert Jackson was moving, and that'll be number 1 on Marquette's big fella.
Bob, even the bigs of Cincinnati, in this case it's Max Seal, see what their first inclination is: catch the ball and drive it on you. Max Seal always gets defended by 1.5 defenders before he catches, and then 2 guys on the touch.
Jed Moore, freshman point guard, off to Stokes, dancing his way in, bouncing at home. Leonard Stokes averaging 17 a game, first basket.
Stokes has averaged 20 over the last 6 ball games, and those are the kind of stats that you have to pick out and talk to your kids about. Stokes is a guy that's very confident offensively. He's a real slasher. He's a thin guy, so he's a foulable kid when he attacks that rim.
There's the elbow.
Yeah, you'll see more of that as this game goes on.
Yeah, we've never seen that in this building before.
Yeah, all right.
That's Steve Novak, a 6'9" freshman, arguably Milwaukee's and Marquette's biggest recruit in the modern age of their basketball program. What a block from behind by Eric Hicks on Robert Jackson's attempted flush. Tom Crean working hard on that Marquette sideline. He's got a hard-working bunch of kids. We were very impressed with their shoot-around this morning. Got them up early for this 4 o'clock local time start.
Obviously, Jackson catches that ball, and he takes his eyes off the rim just at the last second. Big guys, when they attack the rim, they have to find the rim early and keep your eyes locked in on it, even through contact.
Diener, great entry. And that's Terry Sanders, who just checked in. A 6'8" junior, Milwaukee kid, first basket, and the Eagles lead by 5.
Terrific passing ball club is Marquette. 3 out of every 4 baskets they make in a ball game comes off an assist pass. Very unselfish club, the team in blue.
Parker for Hicks, and he had somebody reaching in on him. Might have been Travis Diener. That'll be his first. Armin Kirkland checks in, second time for Cincinnati. And Eric Hicks will sit down, a freshman out of Greensboro, North Carolina, who played at Dudley High School. Here's Stokes, looking to slash every time. Tough shot. Takes contact, and he'll shoot a couple. He went right at Terry Sanders.
Marquette foul on number 3, Terry Sanders.
Probably if you're Marquette, you're probably talking about an adjustment at the next time out. Anytime your guy catches it on the perimeter, let's start backing off of him maybe an extra half a step. Because the first 8 minutes of this ball game, Cincinnati's catching it. Their first and their second instinct, put the ball on the floor and go by you.
Well, Cincinnati leads the all-time series, but Tom Crean has probably done better than Cincinnati against them than any other coach in Conference USA. Bearcats won the conference championship here in Cincinnati, downtown, not on this court, last March. Cincinnati went to their 21st NCAA, beat Boston U, lost to UCLA. Marquette was knocked off in the first round by Tulsa out of the WAC. Well, Townsend for 3.
Tulsa has to be one of the more disappointing clubs in the country right now, too, don't they?
Wow. 4 conference losses. Who would have thought that? 19-12 Marquette. Tough shot for Moore. Yikes. I don't think they were running a clear out for the freshman point guard, were they?
Well, their motion at times looks like commotion, and that's exactly what you saw out of Cincinnati in that last possession.
Marquette will keep it. 28 shot clock, 8.5 minutes in. Eagles looking good on the road in a tough place to play. On top by 7.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of NCAA basketball is brought to you by Audi, with the performance and benefits of Quattro all-wheel drive in every model line.
Oscar Robertson scored 2,973 points, and he only played 3 years. How many would he have had with a 4-year career? Unbelievable. And this program won a couple of NCAA championships back then. Bob Carpenter and Jimmy Dykes. But today, it's the Marquette rebounding story, Jimmy. 11-2, leading to some second chance stuff down low.
Yeah, 5 offensive rebounds, and Cincinnati's only had 1. Marquette's a club that comes in plus 5 rebounds a game, and they're getting it done in the paint right now. This Marquette club is, they beat you in a lot of ways. And they're going to have to get some stuff off their bench right now with their star. And I'm talking star of stars, Dwayne Wade, who set out for a long time with those quick 2 fouls.
Wade back in. Dwayne Wade has not scored in this game yet. And Cincinnati with another stop. Well, there's his story. He got his second foul with less than 2.5 minutes gone in this game. Marquette led 10-3 at the time.
Well, he will be a factor. 4 areas Tom Crean wanted him to improve in from last year to this year, and one of them is getting out and running through passes and being a tougher defender. And what's got him 2 quick fouls in this ball game as well.
He got a deflection there. Cincinnati checks Field Williams back in, who has 9 of their 12 points early.
Marquette staff told us yesterday Dwayne Wade averages 13 deflections a ball game. Not steals, but he gets his hand on the ball 13 times a game on the defensive end.
And when Teron Barker has his hands on it for Cincinnati, there is seldom a turnover. Entry for Maxio. Look at Wade get upstairs to box out Kirkland. Then he ends up sitting on the press table. And Cincinnati will keep it. He is a high flyer.
He's a guy that's, he's awfully unselfish. It's seldom you see a star that's the most unselfish guy on your team. That's what Dwayne Wade is.
I like the soft landing, by the way. That was very nice.
Both clubs will throw in a mixture of man and zone. Marquette is active in their zone, Bob, and they do a great job of talking.
Field Williams can't get a three to drop. It was a good rebound by Stokes. The problem was his man and a Marquette player were right in his way. And this held ball will stay with Cincinnati as we're 24 seconds away from the midway point first half. Boy, the talk of this league right now is Louisville. Down 16 today to Indiana. They beat them by 19. Reese Gaines 17 points today on only 5 of 15 shooting. And Garcia had 23 for Louisville today. Rick Pitino's team is spectacular right now.
They're spectacular in the second half because they're the best conditioned club in the country. You talk to coaches that have played against them, they tell you they will wear you down the final 10 minutes of a ball game. They did it again today.
Here's Kirkland looking to go one-on-one against Dwayne Wade. Nice stop. Then he forces a tough jumper. Rebound backdoor. Terry Sanders. Bodies flying as Jackson and Maxio got tied up. Here's Wade at the other end, and his quickness draws a Cincinnati foul.
Cincinnati foul on number 13.
Marquette able to challenge every shot, and then they come in and clean you up. And Cincinnati wants to turn into that type of game right there. Guys on the floor, a scrambled situation, bump and bruise you, push and shove. It's right up their alley.
Foul low. An elbow thrown by Robert Jackson, and that'll be his second foul. Tomorrow, All-Star Sunday on ABC after the NHL All-Star Game. How about Jeff Garcia, Marshall Faulk, and the NFC's best against Rich Gannon, Ricky Williams, and the AFC in the Pro Bowl. Al Michaels, Dan Fouts live from Honolulu. John Madden will join them at halftime. It's 5:30 Eastern on ABC Sports Championship Television tomorrow.
Cincinnati can't play catch around the perimeter against the zone. They've got to get that thing to the block area, and there it is.
Well, Stokes took a little bit of contact. The officials set play on. Now Marquette gets it back. They are tough to score against in the half court.
Cincinnati just doesn't have a lot of offensive weapons. You stop Stokes and Maxio, it puts a lot of pressure on non-scorers.
Dwayne Wade takes contact from Stokes. That'll be his second. Lots of key players with 2 fouls in this game. All right, Jimmy, you're talking about starting your team with Dwayne Wade. Do you have any other guys in mind that would follow him?
Well, if Dwayne Wade wasn't available, I would go to TJ Ford, and if he wasn't there, I'd take Nick Collison. But here's why, Bob. Those 3 guys, they're the hardest workers on their clubs. They're leaders. They are great teammates. They push you in a number of ways, but I would take Dwayne Wade. I'm not saying he's the best player in the country, but I'm saying if I started a team, Dwayne Wade would be my first pick for everything he does for you and the way he does it. Unselfish with a capital U.
In Wade, we trust. There are some Marquette fans here. Tom Crean's family is here watching today. Dwayne Wade just got his first point of the day, and that's Tony Bobbitt of Cincinnati, who was a JC All-American, 18 a game at the College of Southern Idaho last year when he hit 110 threes. Bearcats would like him to work a little harder. He had 29 against Oregon in that unbelievable win in New York and hasn't done hardly anything since.
Almost like he thought that was the end of the season. This guy's only averaged 4 points in 8 minutes in conference games right now, but he's capable of doing that right there.
Down goes his 3. And Cincinnati back to within 5. That'll get the crowd going again. They're forcing Merritt to put the ball on the floor. Dwayne Wade checked the shot clock, which now says 10. That's the small little point guard, Run Bradley, who just came back from injury. 4 on the clock. Townsend banking one. Wade kept it alive. Is that Dwayne Wade over the top, or is it Merritt? Or is it a Cincinnati foul? It'll be Teron Barker for grabbing somebody. He appeared to have rebounding position.
Talk about all the ways that Dwayne Wade can beat you, and there's another example of it, getting to the offensive glass, which is the one area that Tom Crean stays on him about, being a better offensive rebounder. But he's so big. Look at him at 6'5". He's got a 6'2" guy on him. Boom. You grab one arm, but he's still strong enough to go through you and draw the foul.
Oak Lawn, Illinois, Richards High School. He was only an all-stater. I mean, this guy was not a McDonald's All-American or anything coming out of high school, a partial qualifier who did not play 2 years ago. Brought Flowers back for Cincinnati, one of their position post guys.
You know, amazingly, that was only the 6th offensive rebound for Dwayne Wade in 230+ minutes now in conference play.
Flowers with the rebound. 21-15 Marquette. Here's Parker. And we have another Cincinnati foul. It's Rod Flowers with a grab after the missed shot. Whistled down by Sam Croft, who works with the lead official, Ted Hillary, and Hal Lusk on the Conference USA crew today. Kareem Johnson back for Cincinnati. I'm telling you, there's a shuttle going over on the left side of that court. Guys aren't getting a whole lot of continuous playing time for the Bearcats today.
You know what I like about this Marquette club is they understand their roles. I mean, you're into February right now, and I see teams that have guys that still, they don't know what their role is. This kid on the free throw stripe, Sanders, 16 minutes a game, and when he checks in, he's thinking one thing: lock my guy up defensively and rebound that basketball.
Sounds like 2 things to me.
Yeah, 1 thought, 2 things.
Yep, defense and rebounding. His forte, and he does it very well. Every team needs guys like that, don't they?
Yeah, not enough of them around.
That was a good job by Kareem Johnson of knocking that ball off of Scott Merritt. So Cincinnati gets it back. Despite all their problems, 5 of 16 shooting, they're only 7 points down, and they've only had 1 field goal in the last 5 minutes.
They will go through scoring droughts not only today but throughout the rest of the year. They just lack that offensive firepower. But again, they stay in the ball game. They're making it tough to score against them, and normally rebound the ball and get second opportunities for you.
Well, last year they had Steve Logan, 22 points a game. They had a defensive lockup artist in Emmanuel McElroy. And Cincinnati gets a timeout before giving that ball up. The Bearcats using their second timeout here. We're at the 7:41 mark, first half.
What Bob Huggins really lacks is a Kenyon Martin or a Danny Fortson, a guy that when things are tough, you just throw it to him on the inside and let him go get his. Max Seal's only 6'7", and he's not quite like a Fortson or a Kenyon Martin in that area.
So normally this would be a time under 8 minutes for the media timeout, but it was a called timeout for Cincinnati. Bob Huggins, wow, that's a look you don't want to see when you're walking back to the bench. You know, and the well-documented heart attack and all the things during the offseason that Bob had to deal with. When you and I visited with him at an extended length yesterday, not a whole lot in his life has changed. He does tell us he exercises more, but the intensity is definitely still there.
Well, going through a tough time with his mom also battling through cancer right now. But this is the guy that the passion, the fire, the drive, the intensity, it's still there with Bob Huggins, folks.
The shot clock was winding down. The coach says, didn't you guys know? Here at Cincinnati, the Bearcats are shooting 29% against Marquette today. Only Notre Dame has shot 50% against Tom Crean's defense this year. And Cincinnati, meanwhile, they've played a lot of close games this year. They just can't blow people out like they used to.
Well, you look at that stat right there, and it comes down to rebounding for Cincinnati in this game as well. Look at that. Being outright rebounded 13-6. Only 3 guys have scored for the Bearcats.
Dwayne Wade only has 2 points for Marquette. Here he drives and kicks. Diener for 3. That's his second of the game. Travis Diener with 8 points. Conference USA all-freshman team last year.
Wasn't that pretty basketball, though? I mean, Dwayne Wade drove that ball, and he knew exactly where the best shooter on the floor was. Diener spotted up in the corner. Driving with a purpose is what he did.
Plus, you have a guy that's going to draw some attention when he does drive the basketball. There he is rebounding at the other end. Dwayne Wade is averaging 5 boards a game. Here he goes again. Mid-range pull-up, and he throws up an air ball. Parker got rid of his headband. We'll see if it changes Cincinnati's offensive luck here. Getting it back from Field Williams. There's Field for 3. That one right through. He had a couple rim out. That was perfect.
Got set up by a nice screen up top and set his men up. Caught with his feet facing the basket and let it fly.
Back cut, nobody there. Sanders looking for the back-cutting Dwayne Wade, and already 6 Marquette turnovers today. We've got 6:20 to go before halftime. And of course, Cincinnati, as Jimmy mentioned, they only turned the ball over 10 times a game, best around, and only twice so far today. They are dependable with the ball.
You know, a lot of that has to fall on the shoulders of Barker, the point guard. He's not outstanding with quickness, Bob, but he stays out of trouble spots on the floor.
Where are those spots?
Well, deep in the corner, at the timeline. He keeps the ball in the middle of the floor and keeps help defense away from him. He's just a very high IQ guy.
Dwayne Wade blocks him.
Back.
And Wade throws for Diener. Faked a 3, makes a 3.
Again, he knew exactly where his shooter was. Where's my little buddy that can burn you from the 3-point line? He's on the weak side of the floor and throws it to him.
Got his second assist on that play. Marquette by 10, and they quieted the Shoemaker Center for the moment. 3 ball won't go down for Tony Bobbitt, who made one earlier. Diener on the run. Townsend. Wade thinking about the 3, and then Bobbitt fouls him, knocking the ball away from behind. Robert Jackson back in. It's been gone for a while since he got his second foul at the 9:50 mark. So 4 minutes without him. Terry Sanders held things together pretty well for Marquette.
Talk about a guy really selling, Bob, a ball fake on the perimeter. Dwayne Wade's only made 9 3-point shots on the year. And when he caught it that time, he sold the ball fake, and the defender had to bite on it, allowed him to go around.
3 out of 7 for the Eagles from the line today, and Dwayne Wade's only 2 out of 5. Cincinnati down by 10. I've been coming to this building for a long time. I'm not sure I've ever said that. Maxio all tied up with Merritt. They've been going at it a few times.
Marquette will frustrate you, Bob, because when the shot is taken, guys like Jackson and Merritt and Townsend, they will lock you up. They're not so concerned about getting the board as they are keeping you off the board, and they will frustrate you. See that right there, just pushing white jersey backwards, and Cincinnati's not used to that. Marquette's a club that will match you blow for blow when that ball's above the rim.
They have shut down Jason Maxio. Merritt gets a foul on this play. Maxio will go to the line. He has not scored today. Their talented sophomore, who was the 6th man of the year and an all-freshman Conference USA guy last season.
Maxio, Bobby's a warrior, but he's got to have some help. He doesn't have any other warriors on the interior with him right now.
Well, last year he had Donald Little in there, who was a great shot blocker. Playing in Turkey right now is Donald Little. Tony Bobbitt will take a seat. Emmanuel McElroy was a defensive guy on that team last year. Of course, Steve Logan. Jamal Davis, a good role player.
Okay, the philosophy Marquette has rebounding the basketball. It goes back to Tom Crean's days as an assistant with Tom Izzo at Michigan State. When the shot's taken, here's what all 5 guys think. Hit, go hit your guy, find the ball, and go get it. Hit, find, and get. Hit, find, and get. That's how you teach it, and that's how they do it.
Well, out-rebounding his opponents by an average of 6 a game. And they're only giving up 61 points a game in conference play. Cincinnati back to within 8 now. Dwayne Wade. Wow, talk about a guy with some change-ups on his dribble. That ball came out of Jackson's hands. Field Williams for Cincinnati. Stokes in traffic, and he took a shove. Looked like the freshman Novak got him. For Steve, that'll be his first.
Marquette foul on number 20, Steve Novak. That is his first personal.
Best offense for Cincinnati the first 16 minutes of this ball game is attacking the rim. They have to find a way to stay with it.
Leonard Stokes, they're not shooting free throws very well either. Cincinnati, 6 out of 10. 9 Eastern, ESPN2 College Football Stars, a final chance in the last game of the season, the Hula Bowl. South in the north, you'll see Brad Banks, Ken Dorsey. Receiver Taylor Jacobs leads Larry Coker's South team against Cliff Kingsbury, and of course Mac Brown's North team. Log on to ESPN.com for more on the Hula Bowl. Here's Dwayne Wade, ball taken away by Barker. Cincinnati getting back on the break better now than they were in the first couple of minutes in front of their angry coach.
Dwayne Wade will make you get back on defense with the purpose that he runs with from one end of the floor to the other.
Cincinnati is shooting 27%. They thought if they shot 40, they'd have a chance to win this game. Huggins was storming for a 5-second call there. Here's Diener for 3, long with it. Novak, I think he had his hand on Stokes' back. That's how he got such good elevation. His second foul.
Bob Huggins talking about it should have been a travel call. The guy has a designated spot, so he's going to have a pivot foot. It's exactly what he was on to.
Leonard Stokes is a 79% free throw shooter. Today he is 0 for 4. Ted Hillary is walking around the paint area talking to some of the guys about settling this thing down. You're going to shoot 27% from the floor. You better make these.
Physical defenders have bothered Stokes throughout his career. You back off of him and give him driving lanes. Does a lot of damage.
He's got 4 on the day. Cincinnati back to within 6. After the make, full court pressure. Barker on Wade.
Dwayne Wade, he allows Diener to rest by bringing the ball up. Diener's been fighting that pressure on his own, especially when Wade was out of the ball game.
Give and go, beautifully done, but no finish. Jackson over the top, keeping it alive. Looking for his chance to score. Taking a foul from Derek Holman. I've got 2 words for you on why Robert Jackson left Mississippi State after 3 years to come to Cincinnati, to Marquette. I think you know what those 2 words are. Mario Austin
had a lot to do with it.
Tough to be the focal point with a guy like that on your club who got recruited after you did.
You know what, if you're Tom Crean and you gamble, Bob, and you take a guy knowing I only have him for 1 year, you have to be pretty confident that he's going to be a 14, 15 points, 7 or 8 rebounds a game type guy, and that's exactly what Jackson's putting up for him right now.
Well, he's also back home. Washington High School in Milwaukee, where he was an honorable mention All-American, a 2-time All-Stater. The only criticism they have of him, his hands get him in foul trouble. Looking for his 8th point here. Good execution on the free throws. The under 4-minute timeout at 3:56. It's Marquette over Cincinnati, 30-22. Interesting season, the Big Ten, with a lot of heavyweight battling going on. We've got one of those in Conference USA today. Marquette on the road here at Cincinnati.
You know what I like about Marquette and their half-court offense? They use a lot of littles on big screening. Diener is a little guy, and he's going to circle in here and screen for a big guy. Now, why is that important? Because if you switch that, then you have a mismatch. You see the screen right here? Boom. That's a little guy right there screening on a big guy and allows his big guy to catch the ball on the block. Little on bigs or bigs on littles. You like seeing that in a half-court offense because you will put a knot on their head if you try to switch it.
Too bad Donald Little's not here for him to screen on this year. Nice job, sir. 3:50 first half. Marquette on top by 8 despite 27% shooting. Cincinnati down by single digits. And a rare Bearcat turnover. Only their third of the day.
Cincinnati's margin for error all season long is minimal.
Dwayne Wade has taken one shot in this game. Ball switched to Chapman. Down goes his three. Joe Chapman is a spot-up three-point specialist when he comes off the bench. He'll play some spot minutes here and there on the wing, and that's a big shot for the freshman out of Sauk Village, Illinois.
It's got that good balance you look for, Bob. They make 6 or 7 three-point shots a game. They get to the free throw stripe. Jackson and Merritt are factors on the interior. All the pieces you look for.
Field Williams off to the left with that one. Merritt boxed his guys out. And here's Robert Jackson for Marquette. Trying to hand it off to Diener.
I'm telling you what, Marquette is intimidating on the defensive boards. All 5 guys, when the shot's taken, Bob, they're in motion. That's a sign of a well-coached team. You don't have 4 guys moving and 1 watching. All 5 are action.
Merritt pulling his way in. First basket of the day for the 6'10 junior, who's averaging 10 a game. And the Eagles with their biggest lead of the day, 13. Chapman fouling Armin Kirkland on the perimeter. First foul for Joe Chapman.
That is his first personal foul.
Reese Davis in the studio today will give you his halftime menu shortly. Interesting games around the nation today, including a shocker in the Big East. Some other Eagles did pretty well today.
How about that? UConn at home gets a weight on them.
I mean, hammered by Boston College. Georgetown, Notre Dame go overtime. And number 8 Louisville down big to Indiana, rolls big time. Our Mass Mutual halftime report with Reese Davis shortly.
Bobby, look at that Louisville club, and now won 16, 15 in a row. They lead this league in scoring at 82 points a game, scoring margin 21 a game. They're shooting 50% from the field. And here's what I love about Rick Pitino's squad. Opponents are only knocking down 19% of their three-point shots against Louisville. That's another sign of fatigue setting in against you when you play the cards.
Today, Indiana shot 6 out of 19 from beyond the arc against Louisville.
And they're a good three-point shooting club.
Yes, they are. Marquette with a timeout, one of those use it or lose it timeouts here just before halftime. Tom Crean using it with 2:18 to go. Talk about some of the things in the league. The American, of course, with Louisville, Marquette, and Cincinnati, usually the dominant division here. Louisville's streak goes to 15, as Jimmy said, and Louis Truscott of Houston is really shooting the ball well right now. Against Memphis, he had 20 with 9 rebounds, and then he followed that with a 19-point, 18-rebound effort, including a game-winning shot with 4 seconds to go to beat Southern Miss. And Ray McCallum, young coach, he's got some things going on down there in Houston.
Mike Anderson doing a good job his first year at UAB. You mentioned the national division. I still think you got to keep at least one eye on Memphis. Chris Massey, Billy Richmond, Antonio Burks, Jeremy Hunt. All 4 of those guys are premier players, and they've missed part of the season. Memphis is a factor before this thing's all said and done.
Yeah, right now, a surprising 2-3 in the national division. So impressed with them over the holidays when they knocked off Ole Miss and Illinois. You're right about Memphis. We'll hear more from them. Diener off balance. Nobody boxed out Terry Sanders. And that's 5 off the bench for him today. Marquette has its 13-point lead back.
And what I know how Bob Huggins thinks from watching him practice, and those offensive boards that he's given up, that will, as I said, make you go to the park bench and talk to the pigeons.
Well, Huggins knows he's got a lot of talent on the way next year. He's not ready to become a TV analyst just yet. Here's Field Williams. Oh, my. Missing everything with the three. And a good effort by Kareem Johnson. First basket of the day. That's on Sanders at midcourt, as after getting the basket, Kareem steps right in front of him. Good job taking the charge.
Bringing that ball up if you're Marquette, you better keep it in the hands of Diener right now on the floor. And you get a guy doing something that he's not accustomed to doing in practice, and you end up with plays like that. Defender was set, Sanders just all over the top of him.
Cincinnati could get this thing back to single digits in a hurry as we get to the final minute, first half. Leonard Stokes palming the ball. And we've seen that called more this year than ever before. He says, Coach, I dribble like that all the time.
Bob Huggins was telling him, quit dribbling around the perimeter and go towards the rim. We've got to attack.
Yeah, fourth turnover by the Bearcats now. Tom Crean sits down Todd Townsend, who has 2 fouls. He does not have Dwayne Wade on the floor. He doesn't want him to get a 3rd foul before half. So it's Diener running the offense with K-Run Bradley up there on the wing with him with the ball now. Eagles in a good spot here. Early halftime, up by 11 at Cincinnati.
They've got 5 or 6 set plays they go to at the end of the half or game situation. This time it's a clear out for Merritt.
Well, he's got a sweet bank shot. Second one in a row by Scott. 20 seconds to go. Cincinnati down by 13. Here's Stokes going to that rack this time. And he took a foul. Looked like a reach-in by Joe Chapman.
Marquette foul on number 32, Joe Chapman.
Talk about a club that really labors, Bob, in the half court to get open looks and score. Again, when you can double up your best inside guy, which is Max Seal, and your outside guys aren't great perimeter shooters, that equals we labor to score. Exactly what Cincinnati has this year.
Leonard Stokes with 5 today. We update our star watch. Neither go-to guy has been to a whole lot. Dwayne Wade's early foul trouble.
Well, the guy on top has still influenced this game in other areas, chasing down loose balls, rebounding, making assists, defending. And it doesn't change my opinion of him. If I have to pick a team right now and start with one guy in college ball, I take Dwayne Wade.
Leonard Stokes stroking free throws better. Jamal Lucas, who doesn't play a whole lot, will get Stokes off the floor, so he won't get a 3rd foul possibly here in the final 9 seconds. Cincinnati trying to deny here, looking for a steal. It's off the hands of Diener. They get it back. Exactly what they were trying to do. And only 0.8 of a second came off the clock. Now the guys who can score come back in the game. Williams and Stokes and Bobbitt.
Diener's not a real strong physical point guard, so a little bit of a bump on him. Looks like a major bump. That time he just lost it off his hands, got crowded on that baseline strike.
Well, the basket here could be big.
Yeah, huge.
Single digits for Cincinnati. On top, Williams. He's open for a long 3. Rebound Stokes! There's a momentum grabber for you. They were looking for the 3. Stokes got the slam. And this first half has come to a close. Cincinnati back to within 9. Reese Davis, I think we've got some more in store second half. And right now for you, a busy day.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of NCAA basketball. Brought to you by Bacardi Silver, a premium malt beverage. Your night just got more interesting.
Well, for those of you who don't come here that often, Cincinnati is famous for its chili. Oh, man, those Coney dogs. Got to wait till after the game, though, for a couple of those.
I'm glad you did.
We want to be at the table for the entire 2 hours. Carpenter and Dykes at the Shoemaker Center. Despite all of their problems, 30% shooting, the Bearcats are still in this game. How?
Only down 9 because they've attacked the rim. They've gotten to the free throw stripe 17 times. They better shore up the rebounding, Bob, because right now Marquette up 21-10 on the board. Something you don't see happen to Cincinnati a lot. Watch their inside dominance, I think, in the first half where Marquette Marquette has this lead right now. Watch this right here. Boxing off 54. Maxio just gets shoved to the ground by Merritt. That's something that Cincinnati normally does to folks. And then Diener with a miss, and then the cleanup by Marquette. Rebounding is the major story in this ball game that's favoring the guys from Milwaukee.
And they shoot in the mid-50s. An 11 rebound advantage. Marquette with the initial possession, second half. Diener almost had it taken away immediately. And then Cincinnati's getting this one back. Leonard Stokes with a good one-on-one defensive effort out there on the wing. Ron Barker will lead the Cincinnati offense, which in the first half shot 8 for 27 and 2 of 13 beyond the arc. In trouble, Stokes manages to knock that ball out of bounds off of an eagle, and the Bearcats will throw it in. 25 on the shot clock.
Bob, I don't know if Cincinnati can do it. But if they have a chance to win this ball game, I think they have to hold Marquette to 20 points in the second half. It's not a matter of scoring more for Cincinnati. They can't give up many because there's just not a lot of offense for them. Hold them to 20, you got a chance.
Yeah, they're not going to go off for 40 or 45 points here.
Yep.
And you've got to be concerned if you're Cincinnati. When is Dwayne Wade going to go off? He scored a grand total of 2 points today. That ball deflected. Shot clock at 4. Everybody needs to be aware of that now on the Cincinnati offense.
Another touch by Dwayne Wade on the defensive end. Great instincts, great anticipation by number 3 in that blue jersey.
Eugene Land will throw this ball in, a guy who hasn't really played in about 3 years because of terrible knee problems. Here's Barker driving. He's got time. The floater won't go. Gets his own rebound. Good job. Maxio double teamed as usual. There's Stokes. Unable to drill it. And Dwayne Wade pulls down his 4th rebound of the day. He does have a couple of assists. Played only 11 minutes first half because of the 2 early fouls. He still has 2. There he goes. Won't go for him. Here's Barker running for UC. Stokes. Contact. It's a blocking foul, it appears. It'll be on Scott Merritt, his second.
Bob, it's no secret when you struggle shooting the ball as Cincinnati does, you have to manufacture points. Well, how do you do that? You don't give up second opportunities, which triggers your break, and you get things done in transition. You attack the rim and get yourself to the free throw strike. You get active on the offensive glass. That's manufacturing points, and that's what Cincinnati has to do this second 20 minutes.
Leonard Stokes starting to make his free throws. He's now 5 out of 9 today. He has 9 points total. Those were the minutes and points for the go-to guys in the first half. Our star watch fellas that we visited pregame. Leonard into double figures. He's had 5 20-point games this year. He may have to add another for Cincinnati to have a chance. They're back to within 7.
Marquette's not a club you'll get out of character, though. They understand shot selection, what it takes to win on the road, work that clock down and get a high percentage lick right on cue.
Jackson totally lost Eugene Land there. Jackson at 6'9". They threw it over 6'7" Land, who's not the player he once was because of the knees. Maxio short. He has not scored a field goal today, and that was only his second shot. They have totally shut him down.
They're not letting him go to the rim at all.
Look at Wade hook that little pass over to Jackson. Merritt rebounding out of his area. Diener for 3. Look at Townsend. Out of nowhere to slam it in.
They got great overall size. They start 2 at 6'10", and Townsend at 6'7", and Wade plays a lot bigger than 6'5".
Bob Huggins uses his 3rd timeout of the day. It becomes a full timeout. First of the second half, called by a coach. Marquette keeping the offense going, and over the top for Jackson. Marquette on top by 11. We lost 7 courageous people on our shores today when the shuttle Columbia went down over the state of Texas. Before the game,
ladies and gentlemen, at this time,
Cincinnati and Marquette honoring them.
This morning, our nation was saddened to learn of the accident involving the NASA space shuttle Columbia and the death of its 7-person crew. At this time, we would like to take a moment of silence to remember these astronauts and their families.
A time of reflection for all of us. It is just a game here in Cincinnati today. Bobbitt can't drill it left side. Barker gets the UC rebound. And the Bearcats down by 11. Back to work with Maxiell. He's having a hard time getting the ball over the rim with his jumper. Townsend for 3. Oh, big shot for Marquette. How about him? A follow slam and a 3, and the Eagles lead by 14.
Another weapon in transition is Townsend, Bob. 2 out of every 3 makes on the year from that 3-point line. So he runs opposite the ball in transition, release, rotation, and the result.
Yeah, he's a 3 guy who's really not much of a slasher. And there's Diener with a foul, and for Travis, that'll be his second. Cincinnati has not taken a 3 in this half yet.
Marquette with 5 makes today from the 3-point line, and they average only making 6 a ball game.
But they shoot them well. 41% in conference play. Here's Stokes all the way in, rolls it home. That's a dozen for Leonard. Field Williams has 12. Nobody else on the Cincinnati club has more than 3, and that's Bobbitt, who hit 1 outside jumper.
Cincinnati's going to come with a 3-quarter court pressure after every make in the second 20 minutes.
Dwayne Wade, first field goal of the day, and a nice assist by the big fella, Scott Merritt.
They share the ball well. Again, anytime you have, out of every 4 baskets you make as a team, 3 of them come off of a pass, those are outstanding numbers.
Well, it's Stokes every time, and they're stopping him, and Bob Huggins desperately wanted a foul called there. Townsend's 3 won't go. Dwayne Wade elevates and scores again. And the coach coming off. Field Williams from Barker. And this is on Stokes away from the ball. Evidently an illegal screen. And for Leonard Stokes, that'll be his 3rd. It's starting to slip away for Cincinnati. Marquette has a ton of momentum, doing it outside, doing it inside. Eagles by 16. And that's against an unbelievably good Oklahoma State offense. A lot of people feel Texas is the best team in the Big 12 right now.
When Eddie Sutton says that this may be his best defensive club ever, that sums up the Cowboys. Look at that Big 12 right now. Kansas, Oklahoma State, Texas, Oklahoma, all 4 top 10, top 15 type clubs.
Maxiell with a foul. That'll be Jason's first. He has scored 2 points today, 10 under his average, and those are from the line. Todd Townsend will throw it in for the high-flying Eagles, who lead by 16 at the shoe with 15.5 to go. Now, that can be an eternity in this building for a visiting team. But this is a Marquette team that doesn't do anything to beat itself, does it?
They know how to win games, and they've got experienced guys, and their guards don't turn it over. I mean, Diener and Wade they're an awfully good combo on that perimeter to work with.
Teron Barker, almost a great anticipation steal right there.
Talk about there's help on the way next year for Cincinnati in the form of Robert Whaley, a 6'10" kid out of Barton County Community College in Kansas, a first-team junior college All-American last year. He's a difference maker.
Dwayne Wade is hot, folks.
So's he.
He's got 8 and 3 field goals since halftime. 5 minutes in, it's Marquette by 18.
Well, Marquette gets right up into you. You catch that ball, there's a blue jersey attached to you.
Maxiell, tough shot. He was fouled by Scott Merritt. There's a story of courage over on the Marquette bench. He's their administrative assistant. Special assistant is his actual title, and his name is Trey Schwab. He's got the portable respirator with him. Trey is waiting for a lung transplant. He has a rare lung disease, and he's waiting and waiting. He's about a year into what they said he had 3 years left if he doesn't get it. And one of the reasons we're talking about this is that because of Trey, Conference USA wants everybody in America to know that organ donation is so important. If you haven't checked that on your driver's license or however you do it in the state in which you live, do it. It could save someone like Trey Schwab, a youngster, somebody who you can give some life to. And what a courageous young man he is.
A lot of people in the coaching fraternity know all about his story. Assistant coach with Nolan Richardson at Tulsa for a while, was in the CBA with Flip Saunders, and very well thought of as that young man.
You pull for a guy like that, part of a great character team they have over on that Marquette bench with Dwayne Stevens, Darren Horn, and Jeff Strom, who worked for Rick Majerus for a number of years. Jumper from Hicks, back iron, won't go. Loose ball, Diener. Cats get it away. Stokes, thanks to Barker, and he can't knock down the little mid-range jumper. Cincinnati is shooting 25% against Marquette. And Diener can't roll the three, but there's Jackson. He took some contact. And it'll be a foul on Eric Hicks.
Bob, it's so hard to play and keep your intensity up throughout a ball game, throughout the season, when you just can't score. I mean, we watched them yesterday in practice with no one guarding them, and they would have 3 out of 4 balls would be a miss.
Robert Jackson will be at the line, shooting 2.
Robert Jackson at the line. A 10-point day for the big fella, who redshirted last year after 3 years at Mississippi State. Tonight, 7 Eastern, Battle of the Titans, we're calling it on the women's side. Diana Taurasi, Elena Beard, it's UConn and #1 Duke.
You know what's scary for the rest of NCAA basketball on the women's side? Both those clubs will be better after that ball game tonight. And they are already dominant teams. But by playing that game in the regular season out of conference, both of them improve.
And Coach Ariema doesn't want to hear a whole lot about Duke academics these days, as far as girls going there for academics instead of UConn. He's had quite a bit of fun with that.
Hey, well, Gail Guest, of course, can flat out coach the game, though, down there at Duke. You talk about a combo, Coach K and Coach G. I'll put them up against anybody else in the country, a men's and a women's combo on a college campus. K and G.
Field Williams with his 13th and 14th points of the day. Marquette just running their stuff right here. Going to use some clock. 3.5 minutes away from the midway point of the second half. Well, then you start thinking about putting the thing away, but not just yet.
Well, they make you work. Look at Marquette. They're going to take this thing down probably to single digits on the shot clock and then pound you on the offensive glass. They just make you work every possession.
And Jackson will get a hoop and some harm. He'll draw a foul on Jason Maxiel. And for J-Max, that'll be his second. Cincinnati has no answer down low for this guy.
Bobby's Marquette club is really good. You've got a lot of guys standing in the white uniforms, and a guy like Jackson just wreaking havoc. I mean, their 3 losses have all been on the road this year, at Notre Dame, at East Carolina, which is a tough place to play, and at Dayton, who we're starting to figure out is maybe the best club in the A-10. But this Marquette club, you watch them on film, you watch them in person, you watch them in practice, they're not going away this year. They are for real, and Tom Crean is continuing to just rise and rise in the coaching profession.
What a job. Field Williams swishing a 3. He and Stokes have 29 of Cincinnati's 40. 59-40. Here goes Dwayne Wade. And he was fouled. Tom Crean, just 36 years of age, a Mount Pleasant, Michigan native who went to Central Michigan. Yeah, so he was a Chippewa, but he's a Eagle, a flying Eagle of Marquette right now. Look at the progression, Jimmy, in conference play.
Well, I think that's where you find out about coaches, because things are consistent there. You don't have the easy ones that you're putting on your overall record. But, you know, Marquette right now, Bob, they do everything. Look at that. I mean, you talk about being a warrior. You talk about just wanting it more than anybody else on the floor and doing it consistently against a club in the last 10 years have won a ton of games when they step off the bus by intimidating you. There's no being intimidated by Marquette today. Look at this. Everybody after that ball, they go strong with it for 2 hands. They jump like you're thinking about jumping. They played the game with a big Valentine, which is exactly how you're supposed to play.
16 for Robert Jackson today, and he's a big guy who can really shoot free throws. A 17-rebound Marquette advantage. Bob Huggins can only shake his head. He has no answers for the inside game of Marquette. Next year he will. Right now he's got nothing. He's got a good player in Jason Maxiell, but he's double teamed every time.
Total domination in the black area of the floor today out of Marquette. Merritt 6'10 and 250. Jackson 6'10 and 260. Townsend's a warrior. Dwayne Wade is a warrior in every area. And what it also tells me how good Dayton is.
UD Arena, one of the great places in college basketball. 19 for Field Williams now. I think that Dayton place, right along the riverbanks up there, is one of the best kept secrets in America as far as a place that's tough to play when you're a visiting team. It won't go for Sanders. Rebound Flowers, and Sanders was wrapped around him. And here in Cincinnati, some Bronx cheers. They've been dying for a Marquette foul.
Well, I talked to start the half that Cincinnati need to hold Marquette to 20 points in the second half. Well, they've already have 22 with 12 minutes to go.
They got Chapman instead for his third there. Not Sanders. Under the 12-minute mark, here goes Stokes. He draws a blow-by foul. So 8 minutes out of halftime. Bearcats in trouble at home, down 19. So Missouri hangs on in the Big 12. Right here in Conference USA, it's Marquette by plenty, 18 over Cincinnati. And a foul on the missed free throw by the Bearcats. That goes against Rod Flowers, and that'll be his third.
I'm looking at that Big 12. There are a bunch of folks now that were quick to jump on the bandwagon of the SEC and label them the best conference in the country this year. I think that was too quick of a label. You look at that Big 12 right now, all the way down through that 7th spot with Texas Tech and Colorado. Now they can hold their own with anybody. I'm not buying the SEC as good as they are. They are great, outstanding league, but they're not better than the Big 12.
Nope, I agree. Texas could play with anybody in the country right now. Scott Merritt with 5. Cincinnati's worst loss ever here. Goodness. 15 years ago when the Hoosiers got him by 21. This is the 14th year of this building. So that happened relatively early. Scott Merritt's another Marquette big man who's got a nice free throw stroke. He'll shoot around 75% for you. 6 points for the 6'10 junior today. 65-45 Marquette, biggest lead.
Okay, another reason why Marquette shoots that ball so well is they don't take a shot in practice that's not game intensity, game speed. Very important.
Flowers, a nice step through and a banker. 2 for him. Cincinnati wants to pressure Diener now full court. He'll outrace him and go to Merritt. And a man open for a second, Chris Grimm. Now they'll run their half-court stuff with 20 on the shot clock. Wait for Merritt. Ball slipped out of his hands. There's Grimm to pick it up. The freshman who just checked in.
Bobby, you've got to come with an attitude against Cincinnati. You've got to come with a toughness, you know, a physical style about you, and that's exactly what Marquette has done today. Again, you're looking at a club in Cincinnati that wore out a very good Oregon club, but they don't have the ability to play against that kind of a tough style.
Chad Moore banks in it too. You know, in that game, Jimmy, that did something. That West Coast mentality. There are some people who think the teams out there just aren't physically tough like the Midwest teams and the Eastern teams are. And I think that's something that maybe Oregon has been living with ever since. They have not seemingly been the same team.
Well, they have to learn from that experience and go back to the West Coast and get tougher and play tougher. And Cincinnati took all the curls away from them. They bumped them on everything.
Shot clock at 4. Merritt inside the arc. Diener for 3. That one hit the very top of the glass as Scott Merritt didn't show real good clock awareness right there.
Returns to the game for Cincinnati.
The Hula Bowl coming up tonight at 9 Eastern on ESPN2. Last college football game of the year. You'll see guys like Brad Banks, Ken Dorsey. Larry Coker will coach the South. Cliff Kingsbury and Mac Brown's North team will be the opposition. Who do you like, the North or the South there? I'm not sure.
I'm taking the team that has the best quarterback.
There's a bunch of them. Flowers. Oh, he overshot it, but he did draw some contact. That looks like Dwayne Wade. Well, Dwayne Wade gets 2 fouls in the first 2 minutes and 18 seconds of this game. He gets his next one about an hour and 15 minutes later. So he's managed to stick around. He's got a 12-point day.
It's so important for you know, to have help on the inside. You look at Jason Maxiell right now. This guy's got 3 points, 0 for 3 from the field, and he's a warrior. We watched Maxiell last year, and he does things in practice that only like a Kenyon Martin would pull off in practice sessions, but he's got no help on the inside. He's always guarded by 1.5 defenders, and what I mean by that is his guy's on him, and then there's always a help guy within about a step from him. When he catches it, there's 2 on him. This makes his life miserable right now on the inside.
67-51 Marquette. Here comes Dwayne Wade. Handing it off to the freshman point guard, K-Run Bradley. A 2-time All-Stater in 5A, the biggest class of basketball in Texas, out of the Houston suburb of Katy. They like him a lot. He's back after missing 10 games with a knee problem. He's got the brace on that left knee.
Marquette now starting to show some false motion the first part of the shot clock and then go to a play at the end of it.
Jackson rejected by Maxiell. Great block. Here's Chad Moore. Left side, Williams. On top, Moore. They couldn't get the first shot.
Boy, Townsend is a lock-you-up defender. He wakes up thinking about who can I guard today.
Field Williams for 3. Ball reversal. 22 for him. And we've got a 13-point game. And a long way to go. Shot clock inside 10. Air ball. Williams was all locked up over there, and he's going to get the foul. He and Townsend were all hugged up, and Field Williams was the first guy to figure out where the ball was. How about that?
Field Williams just grabs his guy, trying to box off on the defensive glass. Obvious call. Look at number 2 up top. Grabbing, holding, and that's a foul every time.
All the fans saw was the end of that play, with Field trying to get to the ball. The foul occurred well before that, and Townsend goes to the line. But the Bearcats are inching their way back in. Can they do it?
Townsend, a guy, Bob, that first in the gym, last to leave. An excellent teammate. He wants to be a school teacher when he's finished playing college ball. He has life in perspective. Coaches can't say enough good things about this young man.
11 for Todd Townsend. An angry Shoemaker Center in Cincinnati. Field Williams and the Cats showing some signs of life, down 15.
Maurice, I said earlier, if I had to start a team and had one pick, I would take Dwayne Wade. My second pick is T.J. Ford. My third pick is Collison, but you could make a great argument for T.J. Ford. I hear you, buddy.
Marquette about to go 7-1 here in Conference USA. Louisville unbeaten in league play. And, of course, Cincinnati will go to Louisville Wednesday night, 7 Eastern here on ESPN. Marquette that same night will entertain St. Louis at the Bradley Center in Milwaukee.
I don't know what we're doing the night that Marquette plays Louisville. If the game's televised, don't call me.
We may have to get credentials for that.
You got that right.
We do know some people in the league that can help us out. And on the drive by Stokes, there's a Marquette foul.
Tom Crean was on the floor an hour before the game with sweats on with his entire staff, putting his club through shooting drills. Game speed, game intensity, game tempo, out there saying, hey, I'm with you in this thing today for 40 minutes. I've never seen that before, Bob. A head coach an hour before the game spending about 20-25 minutes in sweats working his club out. He does it well. Very hands-on guy.
You're not going to find the Marquette guys chilling out with some jams in the locker room before the game. It's nothing but hoops for this bunch. You know, and there are some other kids who have played there recently who we need to mention. Guys like Cordell Henry, a two-time All-Conference USA point guard. Alumanamaka, the young man from Uppsala, Sweden, who was so solid. Before them, Brian Wardle, their third all-time leading scorer with almost 1,700 points. Those are the kids who really helped Crean lay the foundation of what they're enjoying right now.
Yep. Marquette's in critical time right now. How do they manage the game? Up 13 with 6.5 to go. You work that shot clock down, you get high percentage looks, and there it is. I'm telling you what, they know how to play the game. They know how to win on the road. The 3 road losses probably taught them how to win this game today.
Todd Townsend just earned his 6th double-figure game of the year. SportsCenter is next here on ESPN. We're at the top of the hour. This one's going to take us by a little bit. Long game, a lot of fouls. Field Williams the miss, and the ball corralled by Robert Jackson of Marquette. Eagles by 15 with 6 minutes to go.
You know, you don't question Cincinnati's effort today, man. These kids have played hard. You just question their ability to put the ball on the hole.
Diener for Jackson. Just stuck in that shoulder in there. And taking some contact, it appeared, from Rod Flowers. Rod Flowers is 4th.
When Jackson transferred from Mississippi State, he was all one-handed guy, pretty much all right-handed. Last year, he really developed on working around that paint area with both hands. That time, the left-handed drive gets him to the weak side of the rim. Then from there, just his power takes over. This is a powerful guy.
Well, 3 years ago, as a sophomore playing in the SEC, he averages 12 points, 7 boards a game. His junior year, 11-7. And then he sits out last year on the redshirt year, coming back home to Milwaukee. A real significant addition down low to this Marquette club. A guy like this can change the complexion of an entire conference race. 19 for him. Shoemaker center in Cincinnati. The Bearcats way behind. Flowers, good service from Stokes. And Rod Flowers with a half dozen. Rebounding, a 2-1 +1 advantage for Marquette. And now Cincinnati gets a stop, and they're going back the other way with the ball.
And again, it's not like Cincinnati doesn't understand the importance of boarding. They come in averaging +2 rebounds a game over their opponents in 17 ball games.
Yeah, last year a half dozen advantage. Just don't have the big guys this year to get it done. Here's Stokes. To Ron Parker. Not a great shooter from the outside, though shooting the threes this year, he's been very good when open. 53% conference play.
It's what Marquette started to do when Stokes drives that ball. They've got a spy guy, a spy defender on him now, which means a secondary defender is assigned to keep him from getting all the way to the rim. That's called a spy guy. Run him over and always shadow where Stokes goes as the backup defender.
I had no idea we had so much cloak and dagger stuff going on here today. Here's Jackson. Nice jumper for Robert. 21 for him and 13 since halftime.
This club can play. They are deserving of that 16 ranking. They got hung on them right now. We'll move up after this one.
I'll tell you another thing. Come March, they will be hungry, still smarting from that first-round loss to Tulsa in the tournament last year. Maxiel short again. Merritt the rebound. Outlets for Diener. Wade. Yeah, he traveled. I was going to say, he went a long way without that ball ever touching the floor. We know Dwayne's got some hops, but that was a hop and a skip. How about Dwayne Wade? He's now played 50 career games. 48 of them he scored double figures. So even in his first year, he only went 2 games when he didn't hit double figures. So consistent.
You know, last year, to get him the ball, they would screen for Dwayne Wade 3 out of 4 times down. This year, they actually use him as a screener, and he's learned to then step to the ball and then go to work on it. Just another small area that Dwayne Wade has developed his game from last year to this year.
Diener fouling Tony Bobbitt on that jumper, and that's 4 fouls on Travis Diener. 4 minutes and 17 seconds to go. A nearly impossible margin at this time of a game to come back from. Steve Novak, a freshman, will check in for Tom Crean momentarily.
Well, it's not impossible if you're playing a club that doesn't understand how to close out games and doesn't have guys that are strong with the ball, and a coach that right now is running some false motion, working that shot clock down. That's what probably makes it impossible for Cincinnati this afternoon. Boy, has he adjusted to the role of a point guard from last year to this year. Running that club with confidence on both ends, learning to defend the other team's point guard, which he didn't do last year a lot of times.
Well, he can thank Uncle Dick for that, his head coach at Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. That Diener family has produced 3 outstanding Division I Conference USA players. And, of course, Tom Crean taking those skills and refining those. That's a tie-up that'll belong to Cincinnati. There were a lot of people around Wisconsin very happy to see those Dieners get out of the high school ranks and quit killing everybody the way they could shoot those basketballs. What a family affair that's been up there.
Well, again, he's averaging 6 assists and 1 turnover in 34 minutes during conference play. And you win a ton of ball games when you're a little point guard, keeping you in winning positions most of the time.
Marquette by 15. We go under 4 minutes to go. Here's Bobbitt working to create a shot. And a nice flush on the rebound. Eric Hicks, his first basket. 13-point game.
Since he just hasn't been able to get it any closer than this margin right here, though, Bob, Marquette still has a little bit of a comfort zone, you know.
Oh, Hicks and Johnson just pawing away and unable to get that loose ball. Marquette ball when we come back. Eagles by 13.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of NCAA basketball. Brought to you by BMW, the ultimate driving machine.
Well, normally at this time, the Shoemaker Center is roaring. They're anticipating another home win. This is about to be the 4th loss for them in 62 Conference USA home games. 3:37 to go. How about our women's game tonight? The duel in Durham. The Huskies and the Blue Devils, the 2 best on the women's side.
The #1 team in the country, Duke, they can't be inconsistent in their offense tonight, Bob, in that ball game. They've gone through stretches this year where they don't always have the great fluid movement and scoring ability in their offense, and they go through one of those streaks tonight. UConn will put it on them.
Baseline, Wade will throw it in, looking for Diener on top. Diener playing with 4 fouls, running that point with Stokes on him.
Talked about Marquette's balance early in this ball game. They've got 4 guys in this afternoon's game in double figures. Jackson leads them with 21.
Shot clock at 6. Townsend, shot clock at 3. The dump down to Wade. Quick release won't go. Barker the rebound. Well, the Bearcats have time for some things. They're going to need to hit a couple of 3-point shots.
There's one.
How about that for Bobbitt? That's a start. They're down by 10. Says, how about a 5-second call here?
As long as the official is staying with his hands apart, though, the count's not on.
That's why he waved his man, Bobbitt, to get out there and guard. Shot clock at 10.
I think Marquette needs 1 more basket to probably seal this.
Dwayne Wade taking some contact. Or is it going back the other way? The contact initiated by the offensive player. That was a 5-second call.
Yeah, the count continues, even attacking the rim. The count continues, and Ted Hillary right on top of it shows 5 fingers. We head the other way. It's amazing Bob Huggins' squad is only down 10 with the offense he has to work with this year.
Or lack thereof.
Wow.
Bob it again. That's a 2, and we've got a 3-possession game. And Townsend, about to step out, calls a timeout. A serious momentum shift in Cincinnati. (75-67) Marquette. Tom Crean, if he gets in a panic situation, still has 3 more timeouts to work with. Last time these guys played, it was a thrilling finish, and Donald Little stepped outside to make a jumper. Cordell Henry's desperation almost went in. And number 4 at that time, Cincinnati, escaped. They were 2 top 10 teams on that night last year. And the shoe is rocking again. Townsend gets the ball in for Dwayne Wade. And he's a guy who can become a point guard for you right here.
Yeah, certainly. He's got great strength. Hard to get into him and make him change his direction.
Here's Diener. Stokes has to be careful. He's got 4 fouls. Shot clock at 10.
Way to go to work right here, Bob.
Bobbitt staying with it. Shot doesn't go. Rebound, Maxio. They could get back to within 5 here. They got Townsend against Stokes on the perimeter. Back cut Maxio, and the ball was behind him.
A wide open layup, and they couldn't finish it off.
Now, Marquette can take it down to a minute on this possession.
If you're the guy with the ball, you keep a clock in your head right now. You know where the count's out at all times. Back up your dribble, separate, and then go back into him.
High pick there by Jackson. Shot clock at 8. We're at 1 minute to go in Cincinnati. Diener's leaner, blocked by Williams. And that is a foul on Stokes, and he's done.
Cincinnati foul on number 15, Tony Bobbitt. That is his
Oh, now they're going to call it on Tony Bobbitt.
Look at this. Bobbitt has a guy rolling and just throws the ball behind him just a little bit. That thing is at belt level out in front of Maxio where he can catch it and go up. It's real tight in the shoe.
And he might have slammed it, and this place would have gone crazy. Wayne Wade with 13 today on that make. And he makes this one. It'll be almost impossible because this would make it a 4-possession game. Right now they're down by 9. And Marquette may have just iced it. They need a quick hit from Bobbitt or someone from outside. That's why they stepped Jackson out there.
For those defenders with heels above the 3-point line right now. It's exactly how you defend it.
So Stokes has to slash, and he takes a hit from Jackson. Robert Jackson with his 3rd.
Marquette foul on number 55.
Kevin Frazier, Trey Wingo next with SportsCenter. Lots of days highlights, previews of everything tonight. And we'll talk about the Cowboys and the Longhorns in the Big 12, Indiana and Louisville. An amazing comeback by the Cardinals today. And of course, we're in Ohio, latest on LeBron James.
Leonard Stokes missed his first 4 free throws today, and now he's rattled off 10 in a row. He needs 11 and 12 right here.
17 total for him today, his average. Chad Moore, quick little point guard back in for Cincinnati. They check out Field Williams. He'll be back when they get the ball back because of his 3-point shooting. Jamal Lucas, guy who can pressure some people and guard some people in the full court. finally it was Moore reaching around to foul Diener. And you're fouling an 86% free throw shooter.
Dwayne Wade, Bob, is so strong. They tried to face guard him with the inbounds this ball, and he just took his guy and with one arm moved him out of the way about 6 feet and stepped out to the corner and received it. And he does so many small things that beat you, and then you reverse the ball back to Diener, who has better quickness than you would think just watching him walk in the gym, and he's a little machine up there at that free throw strike.
This year in conference play, he's 20 of 23. Bob Huggins looks like a football coach. He just put his offensive squad back on the field.
Well, he coaches the game with that mentality. I mean, the only reason why they're still in this ball game is because they defend, they fight hard, they play with a lot of passion, but they just not enough points in their arsenal.
37 seconds to go. Cincinnati down by 10. Hicks. That ball deflected away by Dwayne Wade into the backcourt. Precious time evaporating. Stokes for three, no. Hicks, and he got fouled on his rebound. That'll be Dwayne Wade with his fourth.
Marquette foul number 3, Dwayne Wade. That is his 4th personal foul.
Well, for Cincinnati at home, where they'd won 58 of 61 conference games, ain't gonna happen tonight. Sports Center will be next after Marquette rolls out of here with a 7-1 conference record.
And I'm telling you, you look at Marquette's club and project them into February and March, they project awfully well. You advance them to next year. They played with one senior this year, Robert Jackson. Everybody else is back.
Cincinnati foul in the backcourt. Jason Maxiell with his third.
Personal foul.
Marquette's record about to go to 15-3. There's some nice non-conference wins. They knocked off Villanova in New York, Wisconsin at home. And they got an ABC game coming up in early February next weekend against Wake Forest. A little ACC Conference USA challenge.
Marquette was able to score, 40 points, 41, 42 points in the second half. And we said at halftime that Cincinnati cannot allow that to happen.
Well, at the half they had 39, and they have attacked 40 on. And here's Scott Merritt. 7 for him today. Cincinnati down by 10 with an impossible thing to do here in the last 15 seconds. Bobbitt for 3. Swishes that. 13 for him. And Huggins calls a timeout. There is no give up in that coach right there.